Morning, everyone. Welcome to the Modern Market. This is our daily show from Monday to Friday at 7 a.m. Eastern Time, 12 p.m. GMT, every day of the working week, where we discuss all things to do with the modern market. That is the crypto market, the NFT market, and how to make money on the internet, ideally. We are live on X, we are live on YouTube too. And just before we get into all of the headlines and the price action and some of the rumors, the good stuff, the bad stuff, what's going on in the NFT market in the last 24 hours, we must remind you, as always, that this is not financial advice. Nothing we say here is definitive. We don't know anything for sure. Please do proceed with caution and exercise your own judgment. My name is Bchek. I'm your host for the day. I'm with my legendary co-host, Legendary. We've got some fantastic speakers up top with us. We got Kadama, who provided all kinds of insight and dropping all kinds of knowledge yesterday on the show. Delighted to have him back with us today. And also Token Professor, who was also dropping all kinds of knowledge and insight on the show with us yesterday. Can't wait to get into the show and get into the discussion with them in just a moment. But let's do it. Let's do it. We're going to get into the price action. We're going to get into the headlines in just a little bit. But before we get there, Legendary, how are you doing this Friday, the 8th of December?
GM, doing absolutely fantastic. I think it is a public holiday in Austria today. I'm not sure. I think it is. But I don't really care about that. I am doing great. Looking at the charts, looking at the Blur front page, looking at my own bags. There's no reason to not feel great today.
Yeah, things are looking up. Definitely want to talk about some of the ways the prices are going up in a moment. But before we do that, I just want to give a shout out to some of the people I've been meeting here in Miami. It's been really fun to connect with a lot of the listeners of the show. Shout out to Rocky in the audience. What a legend. I met Rocky yesterday at the Rug Radio Creator Day, and it was special. It was absolutely special. Really, really nice to connect with someone who is super passionate, not just about our show and super complimentary, which was really, really nice to hear, but just super passionate about the space and super knowledgeable about loads of different things, which we're actually not super knowledgeable on. So if you are interested in the Bitcoin ordinals ecosystem, man, Rocky had a lot of cool information to share, a lot of knowledge to drop. So I'd really encourage giving him a follow. He's in the audience. You can see him with his I think is it an OMB Rocky? I think that's the name of the profile picture there. Really awesome. But in general, like the main takeaway was just, man, it's really nice to connect with people who listen to us like so routinely and get to chat in real life. And it's never been the case that I've met someone yet who listens to us all the time and think, oh man, I didn't like that person or they're annoying or whatever. I guess because in order to be able to deal with us on a routine basis, it's probably the case that they have to be reasonably similar or like-minded in some respect. So it's almost, I'm kind of estimating it's almost impossible for people to deal with us on a day-to-day basis and then us not like them in person. Any reflections on that, Legendary?
I just pulled up Rocky's player card, so to speak. Rocky has attended 89 spaces,
Whoa.
spent 32 hours and 12 minutes with us, 445 total emotes. Definitely not on the emoji side of things, but getting close to that 100 spaces mark. That's insane.
That is nuts. It was really cool because when he did say that who he was, I was like, man, I recognize your profile pic. And because he's always one of the ones who's like in with us at the beginning. And so if you are in with us at the beginning when the music's playing, like that is one of the times when I am actually looking to see who's around. Obviously, as the show goes on, it's a bit harder for me to stay on top of that, although I do keep looking. But yeah, crazy numbers, real crazy numbers. Great to connect with like our long time listeners. So that was really, really fun. You mentioned some of your numbers are going up, Legendary. This is a show not just about NFTs. It's also about just numbers going up. That's what gets us excited. That's what gets us in the mood on a Friday. Do you want to share Anything about your numbers going up? Maybe it may be sick what you just told me before the show. Just stuff going up so aggressively.
Yeah, I'm specifically very happy with my ZTX bags. ZTX did almost double up to 4 cents overnight from 2 point something ish cents, and now kind of consolidated around the 3 cent mark. So I think it's still up 38 ish percent over the last 24 hours. That is a very significant move. But also another thing that's up and that I just realized like 1 or 2 hours ago, I had no idea. I don't know if I bought this or if this was airdropped to me. There's a meme coin on Solana. It's Peep with the Pepe
Okay.
logo, and that
Mhm.
went up significantly. Like I was like, I checked a couple Solana wallets this morning because I was still looking through some of my Solana wallets to look for the Jito airdrop if I had it on multiple wallets, and then I saw that some of those wallets had that meme coin that actually did like another, I don't know, like a couple 100% over the last days or something.
Wow. Okay. That's interesting. Definitely want to talk about the Solana stuff. Congrats on the ZTX. Huge move. It just seems to be, look, I think we seem to be moving into a time now where everything is really going. I saw a helpful tweet from someone yesterday, which I thought was helpful in that it was like, look, don't complicate this stuff. Everything seems to be going up. Don't cut yourself up by necessarily trading in and out of positions. I mean, look, maybe that's your bag. Maybe you're a very short term trader, but I wouldn't be surprised if you buying and holding in this period of time is just a reasonable thing to do. And if you haven't done that already, I mean, obviously the better time to have done that would have been like 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago.
Mm.
But you can't do these things perfectly. But yeah, you don't want to cut yourself up doing too many things, and you're just holding the ZTX, and it's going to go up double, and that's quite a nice experience
It
for you, I
is.
guess.
Do you know another number that went up massively and is
Yes,
about to flip something? It
please
is
tell me.
Greggy in our audience. Greggy did break into the top four when it comes to
Oh,
the number of spaces attended. Greggy sits at 141 spaces and is only
holy!
one space away from flipping Sammy. So if Sammy is still in Miami,
Sammy's in
misses another
Miami.
space, Greggy will flip Sammy and enter the top three. And then only Decrypto and Kusho will be in front of him.
Damn, Greggy, you've got it going on, man. Yeah, I think you're definitely going to flip Sammy because Sammy is out to lunch at the moment. He is. I know he's not actually feeling well. I was with him a lot yesterday,
It's
and
even better. I mean, not for Sammy, but for Greggy.
yeah, Sammy's sick, and Greggy is absolutely delighted as a consequence. Um, no, that's awesome. Love to see the people. I mean, I didn't even know that's 140 shows. That's so many. Really great to see. Love that people are continuing to stick with us for such a long period of time, and we're going to keep being here, guys. One of the things me and Legendary decided, and then we're just going to get into the show straight after this. We decided we're going to participate in the bull market, not just by making financial decisions. We're going to be part of the media bull market. In case any of you were wondering, like there will be a bull market in this media sphere, and we are going to participate in it. And we're delighted that you're going to be along with us for that ride. And we've got a few announcements coming up on that in the next few days, maybe the next week or so. So stay alive to it. We'd love for you to get more involved with what we're doing pretty shortly. But let's get into the show so we can get you up to speed with everything else that's been going on in the space in the last 24 hours. Let's start with a little bit of price action. We have crypto. Bitcoin is up 1% at 43.5K. We have ETH up almost 6% at 2.36K. We have Solana up 14% at $74. That is very good. In terms of NFT collections, we have Pudgy Penguins up 34%, pushing through the 11 ETH barrier, which I don't know that it's done before, sitting at an 11.1 ETH floor. Got Bored Apes at 29.5 up a percent, Mutants at 5.6, Lil Pudgy's almost at 1 ETH, DGod's at 3.2, Azuki's at 6.4, Mockaverse up 45% at 3.2 on the back of their announcement. We're going to get into one of those headlines in just a moment. So look, stuff is very, very green across the board in the NFT market as well. Legendary actually mentioned yesterday, not concerned about the little dip that we had in the previous 24 hours. And in terms of the headlines, we have the headlines, which are number one, four fidenzas for more than 200 ETH were dumped to sweep Pudgy Penguins on token rumors. So that's what's pushed the floor up to more than 11. Going to get into that in just a moment. Number two, Mockaverse announces further $11.8 million raise. So the Mockaverse floor is up 46% to 3.2 ETH. Number three, the Jito airdrop trades at $3 with market cap well over $300 million. And the lowest airdrop was about $15,000. That is pretty insane. Both Legendary and I qualified for that. We're going to talk a little bit, not just about that in terms of looking back, but also looking forward as we try to explain, like, guys, this is what we're looking at on Solana. You want to participate and get a free $15,000 every now and again. This is what you might want to pay attention to. Getting into some top sales, we had a Mad Lad selling for 1,371 Sol. That's 36 ETH. And we had a Bitcoin ordinal inscription number 8 selling for 10.4 Bitcoin. That's pretty huge. Those were the two top sales for me this week, which is kind of fun because it's like, usually we're obviously denominating in ETH a lot and focusing on ETH projects. It's nice to see some Bitcoin sales and some Mad Lad sales be right up there in the mix with all the other collections that we look at all the time. So that is the price action. Legendary. Those are some of the headlines. What is taking your eye in terms of prices?
What really took my eye, and it's kind of relating to the Jito airdrop, is I had a look at the Jupiter airdrop, which obviously you can already check the wallet, which will qualify for that. But I wanted to see where the Jupiter perps are trading, and the perps are trading at 50-ish cents right now, which puts Jupe at an FTV of $5 billion, which is insane. But apparently the Jito airdrop made the Jupiter token supporters even more bullish. So very much looking forward to that one because I have a shit ton of wallets that qualify for it.
That is pretty fun. That's going to be a pretty good one for you. I don't have that many. I don't think I have. I think I've just got one wallet or two maybe that qualifies for that one, but that will be pretty good. And I agree with you. I think it's going to be very, very significant. Let's hold that back though for a minute because the headline of the show, yeah, we do definitely want to get into that airdrop stuff on Solana, talk about the Jito one, talk about the other potential future ones, how the mechanics of them are going to work and what people might be able to do in order to participate. But the headline of the show is the Pudgy token question mark. That's the question mark and the headline of the show because the price action has basically, well, I think it's not just the price action, but the clamor and the conversation around the token has got to the point where I think some people have felt like the rumors are too great and therefore there must be something. And we do get to this point sometimes in this space where people are like, well, something must be the case because X, Y, or Z is happening. And it's not always the case because sometimes we just assume things which are not to be assumed. But NFT Stats yesterday tweeted something about 12 hours ago, said that after tweeting that my DMs are full on of non-insider people saying a Pudgy token is coming, he said that every OG Pengu holder in my comments says it's false. There was a deck leaked which included a token, but appears that deck is quite old. And number three, the OGs in my comments seem to prefer that there be no token as they think it risks turning great IP into more of a Ponzi. But that was the tweet after he had suggested that that basically it seemed from all the conversations that he had been in that uh, it felt like there was more likely to be one than not. I don't want to put words perfectly into his mouth, but it was something along those lines. Legendary, what are your initial thoughts and responses to not just, I guess, that kind of communication, but also the price action on the token?
I mean, the price action is insane, but I would also argue that the multiple announcements or multiple narratives that if someone had insider knowledge that could pump the price to the similar extent, and we talked about it yesterday. And Kusho, who is in the audience with us today, made a very good point, talking about that Pudgy still has the gaming exposure, and any strong gaming related announcement or very, very tangible gaming announcement from Pudgy would be very well received in this heavily by the gaming meta dominated market. So it's not like a token announcement would be the only thing that would, quote unquote, lead or serve such a price action or such a pump in the Pudgy floor price.
Do you not think, though, that a gaming announcement just precedes a token announcement? Like the only like one of the main reasons why the token project, the gaming projects are moving so aggressively is because people are betting on the token coming as a consequence of the game. So say there was a gaming announcement, it's like, okay, cool. That means the token announcement comes after the gaming announcement, no?
People could continue speculating. Traveler BTC said it in the comments on NFT Stats post. A rumor of a token is far better than a token.
Yeah, but as in, yeah. So I mean, I think that is true. But if you were taking any gaming announcement to its logical conclusion at the moment, particularly a Web3 gaming project, I think
People
it's
would
fair
think
to,
token. Yeah, exactly. So if they announce a gaming partnership, then the token rumors wouldn't die because everyone would be like, oh, now they're coming out with a game, we'll have a gaming partner. That means they will have a token for that game at some point. So that token speculation would continue in the case of a gaming announcement. Yeah.
absolutely. I wanted to check with you. I mean, I told you this at the start of the show. I'm not sure if it's legit. Is this person the person? Someone said, I don't know the Pudgy team. This is the thing. So someone in the comments, and I think NFT Stats retweeted this after, said, I work for Pudgy. There is no token coming anytime soon. But I just want to clarify. I mean, I'm clicking on their profile.
Raheem sends a thumbs down. That was Bo, the
Okay, so
child
that's a
Web
joke.
3. And so that I would I would say that this is then a confirmation that he's not working for the team. But
Okay.
I mean, he doesn't have a Pudgy badge, and his bio also says that he's a former CIA officer. So
I
would be
literally,
a
I
couple
literally,
indications.
I literally just read that second part. Beforehand, I had just read full-time tech community safety lead at Pudgy Penguins. Then I just read former CIA officer. So okay, that is not to be believed then. So that is not either confirmation nor denial of anything. It's just completely irrelevant. So apologies for bringing that up in any way. But I will say that I was one of the people a few days ago saying, I just don't think this, I think this price action is way too insane, absolutely way too insane for there to be anything other than a token. Of course, I don't know anything. None of us know anything in terms of confirmation. But the interesting point that you just made, which I think I agree with, is that, well, I mean, I made the point, you made the point that, okay, it could be a bullish gaming announcement. I'm just saying that I think my point was good, basically, which is connecting the gaming. Like, if there is a positive gaming thing, then the logical extension of that point is a token, which is what all the other gaming things are doing anyway, as well. And that's why those tokens are running. So that's an interesting way to extend the narrative and extend the excitement. What did you
I
want to
mean,
say on
and
that?
yeah, another perspective to add to that is that nothing would draw the attention of the SEC and regulators than a token launch. And Pudgies are establishing a solid business model with the toy line. So I don't know if they want to have that exposure right now.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know, but I don't know about that line of argument at all. Like, I know people keep saying like, "Oh, it's not in their business model." Like, I just don't think it matters whether it's in their business model or not. It's like Bankless were huge, and I know some people like don't like Bankless for some reason, but whatever. They're a huge media company, and yeah, you don't need to do a token to do media. Like they could have kept selling sponsorships for and ever and ever and ever like that, and it would have been a perfectly good media business. And Pudgy's, as I say, they don't need to do a token. They can keep selling their IP and build a billion dollar IP company. Like that would be it's perfectly possible. The question is, can you resist the temptation when the market is exceptionally favorable to turn yourselves and your holders who are clamoring, who not all of them are clamoring for it, to be fair, because I do think there are some wise ones who are just like, look, let's keep this genie in the bottle. Let's not let it out. There's no need for it. But the question is, can you turn that down when the market opportunities present themselves to you?
Yeah,
And
we spoke about that temptation, but I also feel like Kodama yesterday made a very fair point by saying that the apes maneuvered themselves into a position where they now can't really do that much with the ape token themselves. They do have the DAO on which they have to kind of rely on, which also is heavily, of course, influenced by Mochaverse with their own ape exposure. So that's not necessarily a situation that you would want to recreate as the Pudgy team.
Yeah, I see what you mean. And I mean, maybe moving forward, I guess the thing that I disagree with is the idea that, an SEC investigation would be something that everyone is really, people will do anything to not be investigated by the SEC. Like, of course, people want to be compliant. Of course, they want to not get their attention unduly, like that. Of course you don't want that attention necessarily, but there are plenty of people based in the States who like will take the risk, and you can do so in far more you can do so in a way which mitigates the risk significantly compared
Yeah,
with
that
other
is
jobs.
true, but you also have to keep in mind that Pudgies are probably like one of the only PFPs that have an actual business model and have an actual partnership with a company like Walmart, who probably wouldn't be too happy to see that one of the products that is being sold in their stores is actually investigated by from the SEC. Whereas if you're like a purely digital product and you don't have that exposure, you're probably less prone to give a fuck about that. But you have an additional risk and exposure by partners who could be spooked by that. So I think out of all companies, Pudges are probably the ones who don't really would appreciate an SEC investigation. Not that I think that anyone would, but they would be probably the one who would have more at risk and at stake by that than others.
Yeah, I see what you mean. I think my point would be that there's a way to do it in such a legally like there's a scale of risk that you can take on from a legal perspective. And I was actually speaking to a company about this yesterday, nothing to do with Pudgies, like a different company who are thinking of doing a token or who are going to do a token. And they were talking about like the scale at which you can operate. Like you can go out and push the narrative and just don't not care about anything or anyone, and just like bring it on SEC if you want to go investigate us. Like we've been super transparent. We've put it all on our socials. Like that's the way. Or alternatively, you can do it in a far more kind of secretive way, where you might track people's points, and then you might drop something without basically saying anything, and you just let them know that something's going to come later. And uh, there clearly exists a scale of risk that you want to take on when marketing the tokens. I think ultimately that's the key issue when it comes to these types of drops. What do you say to people in terms of determining what their expectations are? So yeah, I I think everything you said makes sense. I just think there's a scale at which this can operate. You want to come back on that legendary, and then we've got
Yeah,
K
I think
Sensei up who wants
that's
to contribute.
fair enough as a counter argument. And as you said, we have not only K Sensei on stage, we have a bunch of very smart and knowledgeable speakers, and kind of would like to know where they are leaning on token now versus token later versus token at all. But
Yeah, I think maybe let's go. I think Raheem's Kadama's hands got raised, so we'll definitely go to him just after
love
Token
to see the
Professor
hands.
2.
Wonderful.
And then I'm pretty sure Raheem's just come up to get involved in this. Would love to hear his thoughts. Heard him saw him reacting in the in the audience just a moment ago. So I think we'll throw to him too. K Sensei first, welcome to the stage. Thank you for joining us. What are your thoughts on this back and forth we're having at the moment?
GM guys, thank you for having me. Love the conversation, and I'm not one of the informed and smart people here. I'm kind of coming from the place of ignorance on this. But my view of Pudgy is that even though there are a lot of NFT projects that kind of target children, Pudgy is being most successful at that, and I think it's really hard to develop tokenomics or launch an on-chain token that appeals to that audience and that is useful to that audience. Like maybe like something stable, right? Like Robux, like a Pudgy stable, is something that children can effectively use. But I don't think things like sand, like I'm looking at like things that maybe were targeted at children, like Sandbox. I don't think having wildly fluctuating tokens tied to your children's game is a play that would attract anyone developing this like a children targeted product. That kind of they've actually like having success with the kids audience and like maybe some other
Sure.
projects. That's why I'm piling onto that point.
Yeah, interesting. It's interesting, isn't it? Like you have these really not super old, but like much older people who are maybe thinking about this token. But when you think about the actual end user of the end customer for the Pudgy Penguins, like you've got a bunch of kids and yeah, the young gamers who would likely be playing this. And for those people, it would be very difficult to create a scenario where that could be useful. Although the only thing that I would say in response to that, like as a potential counter, is that the way that these younger people are being integrated into these gaming ecosystems and how proficient they are with various tokens. Like I've seen some traders on the timeline who it transpires after they're like 15 or 16 and they're treating all of these coins just like complete internet money. It just doesn't exist to them and they're absolutely unbelievable at trading. And I wonder whether, maybe the Pudgy Penguin demographic with these toys is like way too young for that. So maybe that's not applicable, but that was just one reflection in that respect. K Sensei, did you want to come back on that?
No, I think you're making a great point. Maybe I'm just like too adult at this point, and I'm not realizing how like good at good at trading modern kids are. But that is still a point of contention for me.
No,
So
for
yeah.
sure. And in the end, like as given that we're the people who'll be the adults in the room buying the things for the children, it will be up to us to determine, right? And if you saw these types of mechanics and things that you didn't think were appropriate for any reason, then you are in charge of that purchasing decision. So I completely take your point, and I think it's a good one to make because I think we get lost a little bit in all of the trading of these highly expensive assets. But as you say, the brand is much bigger than that now. I think Kodama, your hand was raised next. Would love to hear your thoughts, my friend. What's your thought on the Pudgy potential token and how the rumors are kind of swirling now?
GM, I just wanted to say that I also got a few people texting me that they heard from OG members and stuff that it's just a rumor and that there's no token coming and they're trying to, stop all the speculation. But what I actually wanted to address is the guy that sold 4 fidenzas to swipe the Pudgy floor.
Ah, yes, amazing.
Which is, in my opinion, crazy. Like, what a degen move. Who, like everybody, at least it was always my dream to own a Fidenza once. And if I own 4, I mean, personally, I would never dump them into bids to chase a token rumor and buy an NFT that has already pumped significantly. And I was just analyzing like his wallet, and he bought all Fidenzas around 2 years ago for 60 plus ETH. So he sold them at a loss. And I don't know, if I had the chance, I would just buy Fidenzas and punks and wait 2 years and sell them for 100 plus ETH and chill. But yeah, I don't know. I just wanted to address this guy that basically, I think, all started the whole rumor discussion again, which is the Fidenza seller. But yeah, to be honest, I wouldn't gamble too much on a rumor when all the OGs are saying it's false. I think, I would trust the people that are in the community and know the project better than I do.
Yeah.
And not trust, is crypto Twitter still a word? Ex Twitter? Sounds weird, but yeah, you know what I mean. Ex Twitter. I mean crypto ex crypto. Yeah, so that's my 2 cents basically.
Yeah, really interesting. Like it is strange the decision making behind that, and also maybe because it's like considered to be fine digital art, right? And as you say, so many people look to that collection as one that you would hold for a long time. It just, I think maybe that's the point. It was like such a jarring move to sell such fine digital art, like one of the most premier collections around, and just sweep it all in one go, that it almost makes people assume, well, there must
like
be
50
something.
ETH, that's like, I would buy a Fidenza for 50 ETH because I'm pretty sure it will be above 100 ETH again in, I don't know, a year. So it's basically going 2x long on Ethereum. Then I don't know. It's just weird, but maybe he knows more than we do.
Maybe it's just a random degen going for the big play, as you say, kind of chasing this asset, which has been already going quite hard already. Interesting perspective. Thank you, Kodama, for that. I like the little analysis on that person's trading activity. Token Professor, welcome to the stage. What are your thoughts as we draw this part of the show to conclusion before we go to the next topic?
Yeah, thank you. I can maybe round the thought up a bit.
Yes, please.
I mean, I agree with Kodama that you should listen to the OGs. And that being said, if there is actually not a token coming, then the holders and the speculators are really not doing them any favors hyping this up so much, because I feel like the playbook until now from Pudgies have been under promise, over deliver. And now I don't see a scenario where if they don't announce a token, that the floor won't dump. It's just so hard to follow up on this now because there's such a hype around everyone just wanting a token that, of course, like Legendary said, you could come now with a gaming announcement, which probably also would be received well. But yeah, it's just hard to kind of live up to that hype. And generally, to what was discussed about the larger vision of the Pudgies, I think it really depends of where Luca wants to take this next. Obviously, they had huge success in the retail area, but I think at the end of the day, retail is such a cutthroat and ruthless business, and it's hard to be successful in the first place, but even harder to build a good brand in the long term and be successful over the long term. So I don't know where this is going to go, and I also see a possibility of them just kind of running this on the side and really going into back to Web3 and doing some gaming partnerships and going with the current meta, because just from a revenue standpoint, I think there's a lot more money to be made from degens and Web3 gamers than it is from small children. If I don't want to make that sound wrong now, but yeah.
Yeah, interesting perspective. I think that final part is true, and it's just an interesting distinction to make when you start to think of who the brand needs to appeal to. On the one hand, you do have these degen adults who are clamoring for the price to go up, and yet the core end customer and fan will be, young kids in the long term, and that's ultimately what will be the true success of the brand moving forward. I want to give Raheem a chance to come in here. I believe that's why you've been trying to come up, Raheem. Great friend of the show, very knowledgeable on these types of issues. Raheem, welcome to the stage. What are your thoughts on this topic as we draw it to a conclusion now?
Hey guys, GM. So I've been going personally back and forth a lot on this, whether I'm for it or against it. And I was just thinking that, and I was just even when you guys were discussing, there were moments I was I'm completely with legendary, and there would be some counter arguments that you would have, then I'm kind of with you as well. I think one of the plays that we could see is, I feel like one of the most beneficial things for them would be if they end up going down the token route, like, because you guys were talking about basically like the whole SEC regulation aspect of it. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if tomorrow they ended up forming an entity actually somewhere in Asia, because a lot of, like, the reason you have a lot of these gaming projects, a lot of, like, whether you take meme coin or a bunch of like projects that are backed by anime coin, they're all based out of, like, their corporations are based out of Asia. So, and I feel like, considering they've been like doubling down so much on Asia, I was like, that could be something that they could delve into. The tricky bit comes exactly what like a couple of people mentioned earlier, is that the thing with gaming projects is that you are actually targeting your, the entire community that you're targeting are Web3 gamers, or gamers that eventually come into Web3. What my question would be is, to my understanding, like, Pudgy's vision is to become the cute family IP, and those are the words that they use, right? So what I see is that they're looking to go beyond Web3, and I feel like that's when it becomes like a lot more dodgy to go down the token route, because every project that has obviously launched a token in the past, whether it's Dust Labs, whether it's the Ape Coin or whatever, has had its struggle. So I think I'm conflicted on both ways. But just dialing back a bit regarding the speculation aspect of it. So I know you and I, Beach we were speaking about it on that group. But like the first night when they pumped, which was like 2-3 days ago, I did like a deep dive research with like a friend of mine who's like a big blockchain analyst kind of a guy, researcher, where we went through wallets, we were looking at data. I was sitting on Discord typing the word token, seeing how many times people were bringing it up in the last. Because the thing is, like, to me, I've been in Pudgy since the beginning, since they minted. I've been in the Discord. What just didn't make sense to me is that where is the speculation coming from? Because I refuse to believe that this speculation was coming from people, because who was talking about it? We didn't see threads about it on Twitter the first time it happened, which was 3-4 days ago, when the floor actually ended up hitting 12 nights and then retraced back to 10 and like 8.5 the day after. So I was like, where's the speculation coming from? In the Discord, there were 15 messages that mentioned token in the last 2 to 3 weeks. So I was like, it's clearly not that. So there was a huge part of me, and there's a huge part of me believes that there's some form of information leak. And of course, this is just like my personal opinion, but especially because yesterday you're obviously seeing that Fidenza dump. And then I saw this other new wallet, put in like 200 ETH from an exchange, ended up buying like penguins and rods straight. Like this person didn't even buy like little pudgies and stuff. So like, like there's a huge part of me. I think all of us have been in this space to be like, if there's one project that's moving in such a short amount of time, and not the entire ecosystem as much, that like I'm so bound to believe that there's some sort of leak, if the team hasn't announced anything regarding the token per se.
Yeah, look, man, I'm with you in just trying to dig a little bit deeper and not just say, oh no, it doesn't make sense for their business model, therefore it won't be. Like, I'm completely with you. And in that respect, where it's like, look, I know what people say and I know what people claim, but I'm trying to look on chain and seeing what people are actually doing. And as you say, there's just been a few things where the performance, or the wild outperformance of the market, because obviously we're in a market at the moment where everything is going up, but when something is outperforming to such a wild extent, then you have to kind of, well, you have got to do a little bit of digging. So I appreciate you doing that and sharing that with us, because I think it's helpful context and something for people to keep in mind as they try to form their own conclusions. And just to reiterate, like, we do not know anything for sure. We're just trying to have the conversation, figure it out, and address it from all angles. And I think we've done that at this point in time. Legendary, any final thoughts, or do you want to take us into the next headline, which I believe is to do with Mockaverse?
Yeah, one final thought, or actually idea on that, is I would kind of love to see where our audience stands on that. Maybe we could do a very simple voting with thumbs up for those who think that a token might be coming or might be announced now, and a thumbs down for those who don't think that the announcement is going to be a token announcement. Would be curious to see what the sentiment in the audience is. Steve thinks thumbs down. There's no token coming. So does Confusion. So does Diesel. It's not a lot. Not a lot of token. Pixel Property agrees with the thumbs down.
I think
Not a
Jaybird
lot of
thumbs
people.
down as well.
Haven't seen anyone with a thumbs up.
Akash thumbs down. Big Bear thumbs down. A lot of thumbs down. Interesting. Nate Dog
Interesting.
thumbs down. Okay. Very cool. Very, very interesting. Thanks for participating. Rizma also with a thumbs down. A lot of thumbs down. Interesting. Okay. Very, very interesting. Well, we'll see how things go and see where it goes to next. I think we've addressed it from all angles at a minimum, which we have to do given the price is just going through the roof, and it's worth talking about as a consequence. But let's get into the next headline, Legendary, to do with Mockverse.
Absolutely, yeah. To keep it simple, Mockverse announced a second tranche of funding that was been raised, another additional 11.88 million, bringing up the total raise to 31.88 million for Mockverse. Market did like the news a lot. Let me just get the most recent number on that. Mockverse is, where is it? Is up 46% on the last day on that news. Is currently sitting on Blur at a 3.2 ETH floor, and it was actually a very, very violent pump. I think it moved more than it moved immediately after the first fundraise announcement.
You know what happened yesterday when I saw this? It was really late. I watched what was I doing? I was writing the snapshot because I obviously have to do that at nighttime here, like between 10 and 11 p.m. And I just finished doing it. And I saw this news and I was like, damn, I wanted to get another one. And I think I was maybe 20 minutes late and the pump had already happened. Like it had gone from two something to 320. As like literally as soon as this news came out. So as you say, a very, very aggressive move up. What are your thoughts on why this is happening, Legendary? I'm going to give my thoughts in a little bit. Yeah, what are your thoughts first?
I do think that the realm points that people are able to collect, obviously also in this case, are fueling token speculations. And that's, in my opinion, definitely one of the reasons why people are looking at Mockverse. Another reason, it's also, I think, something that we've discussed quite often. If you look at the relative comparables, and if you look at, captains also with the basically pending token claim for the future unlocks, then Mockverse felt very cheap in comparison to that. And I think the culmination of having the realm points, having the additional fundraise, did lead to that second massive pump.
Yeah. So look, I'm going to explain my thought process on it. I'm obviously a holder of Mockverse because of the thesis I'm about to lay out. I think we spoke through this one of the other days as well after the initial fundraise, where we drew attention to a couple of things. And this was back in the day when I think the prices were between 1 and 1.5 ETH. So I'm going to talk through some of my thinking on it. So yes, I do think the fundraising seems to be an indicator for people to speculate on a token, like anything it's just like with Treeverse the other day by Loopify, when they announced that they'd raised 2.5 million, everything ripped. The avatars called the timeless avatars, which I think you held a bunch of, went from 0.2 to 0.4. The Treeverse land completely ripped, because the whole thinking is, as soon as people announce these fundraisers at the moment, that there will be some kind of token down the line to pay back those investors. That's the thinking, right? Those investors have bought in so that they will get paid back in the form of a token at some point in time. So that's what that fundraising is significant for. And then obviously NFT holders are part of that allocation. So that's kind of taking one step back and looking at it. The second thing for this project is that, well, that's the premier project for Animoca Brands. So that's another good thing. But the key thing to me that stood out to me like a while ago, and again, I think we spoke about on this show maybe more than a month ago, is that it's kind of telling you in plain sight what is going on. And although it's not it doesn't say it perfectly, and you've got to, I don't know, maybe there's a little bit of a bet and kind of thinking and joining the dots together. But in the official announcement in public for this most recent raise, and they said the exact same thing in the previous raise, the headline for the raise was Animoca Brands raises additional 11.88 million in second tranche of funding for Mochaverse. It talks about the people who participated. It gives a couple of dates, sets the scene. It's got participation from Foresight Ventures, Polygon, Dapper Labs, and others. But then it goes on to say, in both tranches, Animoca Brands raised the funds via the new issue of ordinary shares at a price of $4.50. As part of each raise, and this is the part I want to draw your attention to, as part of each raise, the company granted to the investors in each round a free attaching utility token warrant on a $1-to-$1 basis. So I'm not like super well informed on the kind of angel investing side and the token side, although it's something I've started to do now. But me joining a couple of dots together is me reading that like, well, okay, there's going to be a token, and that's what they said in public last time. That's what they said in public again, and I just don't think that that's really translated onto the kind of Twitter universe where people have digested that in an appropriate way. Like that's just not been digested and communicated on Twitter, and fair enough, because I don't think they want to make a huge noise about it. I don't think anyone who is going to drop a token wants to make a huge noise about it. And by the way, this is not me confirming it. This is just me showing you what it literally says in the public sphere and trying to join the dots myself. And that's my thinking. And that's what I think. Legendary, what do you think about that? And if anyone else has some thoughts on it, I know Token Professor, Raheem, Ben as well, maybe you might have some thoughts on just trying to connect these dots in terms of tokens. Would love to hear from you as well. Legendary first.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's nothing much to add to that because I share the same hypothesis as you do, with the only difference being that I'm not yet a holder of a Mochaverse because I keep speaking about them but not buying them for whatever reason. But at least I'm farming the realm points to kind of compensate for that.
Yeah.
But I have nothing significant to add to that because I wholeheartedly agree.
Yeah, fair enough. It was one of those. I mean, and I guess the market is a little bit like this all the time at the moment. But we were talking about it maybe at like 0.6 and 0.7, and for some reason we just didn't do anything. Just like it can be some of the time. And then I bit the bullet and bought at like 1.3, 1.5, and then I bought another one the other day at 2.2. And I actually sold, just to give people a little bit of context, I was looking at captains, and this is how we determine value sometimes in this space. It's like, well, how much is a captain's worth? Like, well, I don't know. It's just an NFT of a captain. It's obviously got a bag of meme in it now. How do you determine value? Well, let's compare with other NFTs. And with a captain at 4.5 and a Mochaverse at 2.2, my thinking was like, well, a 2-for-1, I don't think Mochaverses should be half the price of a captain. I think 2 Mochaverses are worth more than 1 captain. So I sold my captain. Captains then decided to pump, where's meme coin pumped, up to 5, but has since retraced. And now, and so it looked like a bad trade for a minute because I was essentially trading, well, I was trying to trade 2 Mochaverses for 1 captain, but I managed to get 1 Mochaverse at 2.2. But then Mochaverse is now pumped, and I didn't actually manage to get the second one. So that's the unfortunate part of the story, but just laying out some of my thinking there to see what people thought, just sharing it. So it might be insightful to someone trying to analyze the market in their own way. But we're drawing towards the close of the show. I want to bring you the Web3 roundup to get you up to speed with what else is going on, and definitely want to touch on these Solana airdrops. The huge, absolutely huge. It cannot be underestimated how huge this Jito airdrop was for people who barely did anything. And just want to emphasize that to you in just a moment so you can understand the scale of what can be achieved in a little bit. But let's bring you the rest of the Web3 roundup before we get into that. As always, it's in the snapshot pinned up top. If you do like it, please do like it. If it brings you some value today, I spend a lot of time writing it at different times of the day. when I'm in Miami. Number one, Web3 Roundup. Layer 0 announced token in first half of 2024. Again, more airdrop opportunities coming. Want to be aware of that. Number two, Pixel Vault announces live streaming of Battle Plan via OpenSea with creator Brycent on X. That's cool to see their game getting some nice exposure. DGods announced their alpha team are providing airdrop guides for Solana. That's pretty cool, but alternatively, you could just listen to us and follow our guides, probably for free as well. We'll announce more to do with that in a little bit. 4, Arbitrum makes bid to host Ape Chain. A lot of competition for Ape Chain at the moment. Different L2s trying to get that activity on their own stack. Moving into the Creator Corner, Parallel announces a full list of creators to participate in the Creator Invitational. And next, on a more somber note, computer art legend Vera Molnar passes away at 99 years old. She is definitely considered one of the pioneers of computer art. She released Themes and Variations, which was a collection in conjunction with, I believe it was Sotheby's or Christie's earlier in the year. And they have actually completely ripped as on the back of this news. They minted out about 1 point something ETH, and now they've gone above 8 ETH. After her passing away. So that is sad news, but for a real pioneer in computer art. So Legendary, that is the roundup from what else has been going on in the space. I hope that's helpful to people to get a sense of what else is going on. But what do you want to share on the Jito airdrop? What do you think is the key takeaways for people as we move into the final few minutes of the show?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the key takeaway for me would be just to have a look at both other staking protocols, which I've been saying for such a long time on both ETH and Solana, that don't have a token yet, that might have a loyalty point system or any other system that's similar to that, that could indicate that an airdrop is coming, and put some funds into all of those. I do think that staking protocols will have some of the sweetest airdrops to come in the future. Another additional comment on Layer 0, which is something that I want to put out as a PSA, is please, when you look at the Layer 0 Labs announcement, there is a fake Layer 0 X page that also has a golden checkmark, that has a corporate checkmark. They paid for that, and that claims you need to register a wallet to be eligible for the Layer 0 snapshot. That's obviously not the case. Please don't do that, because otherwise you will have your wallet drained. But just be aware of the fact now that these airdrops are heating up. It's absolutely worth for scammers to pay for that golden corporate check mark and to go for the 1K subscriptions to post malicious links and position them very, very well strategically from their perspective. So just don't fall for that. There's no need to register any wallet for any airdrop, and also double check the handle for that, because I'm afraid we will see this type of scam more and more often. It's really hard to distinguish, especially if both of them have the golden check mark.
Absolutely. I think that's a really, really important point to make in general, as the market is heating up, as things get frothy, not just with airdrops, but with NFTs prices going up, as crypto is going up. We have to be far more vigilant with what we connect our wallets to, what we sign transactions for. So that is a good PSA. I agree with that. Just a final thought on the airdrops. There's just a lot to do. Jito basically was a $15,000 airdrop for people who staked no more than 1 Solana. Is that correct, Legendary? As long as you were staking before November the 25th. Is that correct?
I don't know that part, that if 1 Solana would have been enough for that. I didn't look into that specifically, so I don't know. Don't want to say anything wrong.
But it was something minimal, right? It wasn't.
It was a small amount. Yes, I wasn't staking a lot.
Yeah. Okay. So this is the point. It was the minimum amount you could have been airdropped, so long as you met the minimum threshold, is 4,900 Jito, which is trading at $3 ish, which is about $15,000. So that's a very healthy stimulus as you move into the Christmas period. And a few things for you. I appreciate there's some people who want to come in, but I think we're going to be drawing to the close of the show now. So if you have something to say, you can put it in the comments, or we'd love to hear from you. We're going to keep touching on these airdrops things, so we'd love to hear from you as we continue the conversation next week. But the final thing I wanted to say is just to point people towards other things which people are bullish on Solana for these types of opportunities. You have MarginFi, Drip House, Backpack, Phantom, Magic Eden. Legendary, would you have anything else to add to that list for people to take a look at?
And nothing other than Tensor to add to that. I just had a look because
Tensor
Pix pinned, and that actually connects nicely to the discussion that we had before. His post saying that Layer Zero airdrop will print millions for Pudgy Penguin holders. Layer Zero has a lot of partners. Some are big, some are small, some are little. Little Pudgy's partnered with Layer Zero quite a while ago. You can use Layer Zero to bridge your little Pudgy from ETH to Arbitrum or BNB, and you get a soulbound token, Pengu pins for that. Currently, only a bit more than 1K people have those, and explained how to bridge and how to do this.
That's pretty cool. That's very cool. So you do want to try to get exposure by doing those cool things. And it's nice when you can just go about your normal business and hit these types of allocations. A final PSA is that if you are interested in that type of stuff more, my latest newsletter, which went out this morning or 1 hour ago, includes some more things for you to do on Solana. It is my 99th NFT market newsletter. It includes a bunch of stuff on this current airdrop that just went out, how much I made on it, what was required to do so, and has some more opportunities for you should you wish to try to participate moving forward on those types of things. It's in my bio. You can sign up from there if you haven't already, which I'm sure you have. But that's it for the show for today. It's been a great show. Thank you for joining us today. Thank you for joining us this week. It's been great to do this in a more remote way from Miami. Have a wonderful week and take care, and we will see you next week. Bye-bye.